welcome back. I am your SST teacher Maya Gurani. So students, we were discussing the chapter Ruling the Countryside. In the first part that we have already discussed that how the Britishers they become the Diwan of our country after the Battle of Buxar in 1765. So now the Britishers they had the right to collect the revenue from our country. So the Britishers they felt that to implement a standard revenue collection system, it is because they needed more and more money to buy silk and cotton in a very cheap prices. In the initial years, the Britishers they had purchased the cotton and silk by importing the gold and silver from their country. But in this period only, the Bengal economy faced a deep crisis after a series of famine. It is because the artisans they were being asked to sell their product in a very cheap prices, and the peasants they had to pay a heavy duties to the Britishers, to the company. So now the Britishers they were thinking to need to improve the agriculture. In this, they introduced the permanent settlement. It was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in 1793. So, according to this settlement, now the Jamidars they were recognized as a true land owner. The features of this permanent settlement: the Jamidars they were asked to collect the revenue from the farmers and to pay the revenue to the company. The amount to be paid was fixed permanently, and it was fixed for 10 years. And the rest of the amount could be retained by the Jamidars. So what was the reason that this permanent settlement was paid? Let's see. The problem with the permanent settlement was: the first problem, the Jamidars were least concerned about the improvement of their land. It is because now the Jamidars they have become the landlord, and they were recognized as a land owner. So their main purpose was to be rich and to live a luxurious life. The revenue was so high, as the revenue was to be paid to the company. It was very high, so many Jamidars they found it very difficult to pay. As a result, many Jamidars were auctioned. And who failed to pay the revenue lost his Jamidari, and the Jamidars who was unable to pay the revenue lost his Jamidari. The prices in the market rose and the cultivation slowly expanded. The prices in the market rose. The product, they are selling the product in a very high prices, and also the cultivation was slowly expanding day by day. But the company felt that this means that increasing the income of the Jamidars, no gain for the company. It is because the revenue was fixed. Jamidars could give out the land to tenants and get rent. The Jamidars, as they are taking the benefit, or we can say their income is increasing without any risk. And what they were doing? They were giving out the land to the tenants and getting the rent from the land. The position of the farmers were even worse as forced labor. It is because the system turned out to be oppressive and the whole burden of paying tax fell on the peasants, or we can say farmers. They had to pay the tax at any cost, even at the time of the crop failure. So we can say the permanent settlement did not give the desired result to the company. So now the company, they felt for new system and they came with the Rayatwadi or Malwadi system. So the company devised a new system known as the Malwadi system. As in permanent settlement, the Britishers, these company people, they got a fixed amount and that amount is not sufficient to meet their requirement. So they needed more money. In 19th century, revenues could not be fixed when company needed more and more money for administration and for trade. So what they did, they introduced this system in northwestern provinces of Bengal, most part of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and later on it was introduced in Punjab as well. So this Malwadi system was introduced by Hart Mackenzie and it came to effect in 1822. The settlement of land revenue was made between the company and the Mahal. As we have seen in the permanent settlement, that the land of revenue was made between the company and the jamidars. Fixed revenue to be paid in cash and the amount to be paid, it would be in cash, and every 30 years it could be revised or so. Whole village community had to pay it. If any of the peasant or any of the farmer was not able to pay the rent, so the whole village community had to pay it. The charge of collecting the revenue was given to village headmen. Instead of the jamidars, now the collecting of the revenue was given to the village headmen so that the village headmen can work for the agriculture and to spend more and more money for the cultivation of the crop. And by this, the Britishers, these company people, would get benefited. Now we will discuss the Rayatwadi system.
The Monroe system, or we can say the Rayatwadi system. First, this system was started in a very small scale by Alexander Reed, but later on it was introduced by Thomas Monroe in 1820s. Thomas Monroe implemented the system in the Madras Presidency and it was later extended to the Bombay Presidency. As there were no traditional jamidars in the south, this system worked directly with the cultivators, or we can say ryots. The ryots, who were the owner of the land, paid the revenue directly to the company officials. As there were no jamidars or intermediators, this system paid more revenue than any other system.
But this system have some drawback. What was that? The cultivators, they had to pay tax at any cost, even at the time of crop failure, natural disaster or calamities. If they are unable to pay tax, so the company had right to sell their land. So if we talk about the three systems, the permanent system, the Malwadi system or the Monroe system, so we can say the Malwadi system is considered as a best system or settlement because it imbibed a feature from the permanent settlement also and the Rayyatwari system.